All right, thanks for joining everyone. Today we have a special combi edition in our Vulcan a la carte series. Chef Pete, why don't you tell a little about what you're going to be doing today?
Today we're going to be cooking grilled salmon, roasted potatoes, and roasted vegetables in the Vulcan Combi. One of the nice things about a combi oven is that high temperature steam environment where I can still get browning, but I have the added speed and moisture retention that I get from steam. The nice thing about that is that I get speed impact from the steam, and the high temperature browning still gets the food looking the way I want it to look. And another nice thing is that I don't get any flavor transfer through the steam. And I'm going to be able to load all of the food for the entree in the combi at the same time, so that it all comes out at the same time to be plated and served. The nice thing about the ABC7 is that it, unlike every other combi on the market, automatically adjusts its humidity level based on the temperature that you want to cook. You can override that if you want, obviously, if you have a different idea about how much humidity to use. But the nice thing about the ABC7 is that as I change the temperature, the ABC7 automatically changes the humidity for me to the optimal number.
Great, and that's, does the combi allow for speed or improved cooking times?
Absolutely. The combi is always going to be faster. Whenever you add steam to your cooking process, you're going to pick up speed.
All right, great. Well, I'm excited to see what you have in store for us, so I'll let you get prepped and ready to go.
All right. Now I'm standing in front of our Vulcan ABC7 Combi Oven. As you know, a combi oven is a combination of steam and convection. The reason that we want to put those two things together is convection ovens get hot enough to do some great browning, crisping up of products, things like that. But steam speeds up the cooking process, and it also helps things stay moist. So if we can put those two things together in the same box, we get the benefits of both. The first thing I'm going to put in my ABC7, smashed potatoes. Put those here. I'm also going to put in some vegetables to roast off. Okay. Close the door. I'm going to go ahead and set myself an 8-minute timer for those things. That may be a little bit short of my ultimate cook time, but I'm going to be adding some grilled salmon to this combi oven so that all of these items are going to come out together, and I'm going to be able to do a plate of roasted vegetables and smashed potatoes and grilled salmon all from the same oven at the same time. A couple of things about the ABC7's control panel. Very easy, very intuitive control panel with temperature on the top, a timer, and then a humidity dial. And the humidity dial is kind of a question mark for a lot of people. If they haven't cooked with combis before, they don't know how much humidity to use for a certain dish. What Vulcan has done through some pretty extensive research and technical development is we've made a combi oven that automatically sets its humidity based on the temperature profile that you're cooking with. I can override this at any point if I want to, okay? But my point is that as I change my temperature setting, the humidity setting will automatically change to the most common humidity profile for that temperature range. So if I'm down low with temperature, down in the 200s, for example, I'm full steam, much like a regular steamer. But in the 300s, I've got some humidity in the oven, I've got some steam in the oven because it's speeding up things like casseroles or lasagnas or things like that I would normally bake off at about 325, 350. If I'm trying to get browning, crisping, things like that at much higher temperatures, like I am up here at 425 degrees, I'm down at just 10% humidity. That 10% humidity isn't going to be enough to prevent browning or prevent crisping from happening, but that extra little bit of humidity in the cabinet speeds my cooking process up tremendously. So the science behind the patented humidity control follows the contours of this Combi cooking chart. It really is the keys to the kingdom when it comes to understanding the relationship between heat and humidity and how those parameters relate to different cooking methods that can be done in the Combi. The humidity level is on the left, the temperature is at the bottom, and importantly, the types of cooking that can be done are across the top. For proofing breads and other fresh dough products, a warm, moist environment is desired. Not too hot to kill the yeast, and damp enough to make sure the dough doesn't begin to dry out. For retherming, we use the combination of slightly higher temperatures to warm the food and enough humidity to keep the moisture in the food, but not so much humidity as to make the food or the plates wet. The temperature range from about 160 degrees Fahrenheit to about 180, or even a little bit hotter, is perfect for this. Poaching, which is traditionally done submerged in simmering water, can be done in the Combi at 100% humidity, but at temperatures lower than boiling. Steaming at 212 degrees and 100% humidity can be done in the Combi the same way it is done in a traditional steamer. But in a Combi, steaming at 100% humidity can also be done slightly below 212 degrees for, say, green vegetables, or slightly above 212 degrees for starchier products like potatoes or root vegetables. Slow cooking, used for items like pork shoulders or other tough cuts of meat, needs higher temperatures to break down the fibers, but also a relatively humid environment to keep the food moist while it cooks for such long periods of time. Braising is an example of this type of cooking, and it's perfect in the Combi. Baking, which is usually done about 350 degrees, benefits from some humidity as the steam both increases the efficiency of the baking, but also helps to ensure the interior of the food doesn't get too dry. Grilling foods can be done in the Combi at temperatures above 375 degrees, and a bit of moisture in the cabinet at that point speeds the cooking. The Combi can produce air-fried, crispy exteriors at temperatures of 400 degrees and above. Usually, little or no steam will be added to the food at these temperatures, but a small amount of the humidity that is naturally produced by the foods can be allowed to stay in the cabinet. And way at the top of the temperature range, all the way over at the right, is finishing. Done with basically no added steam, this process is used to do things like melt cheese or glaze meats, but the very high temperatures mean the cooking time is very, very short. We got salmon. You can hear that on the grill. All right, slide that back in. My roasted vegetables are still doing okay. My potatoes are doing just fine. A couple of things about the ABC7 that I want to make sure we cover. So first of all, the ease of use, which I mentioned before, but the ease of use means that there's no training involved. Usually with a Combi oven, there's a lot of complexity, and users are sometimes afraid of using them. We've taken out that fear factor, right? We now have a Combi that is so simple to use, there's no reason to be afraid of it. The Combi oven, I think, is really sort of the star of the show, the centerpiece of a kitchen, and it's because it's so versatile. There's so many things I can do with it. I can steam, I can roast, I can grill, I can braise, I can do a whole lot of things that would normally require other pieces of hardware. All of those things are sort of wrapped up in here. When it comes to selling a Combi, to me, the big thing is that because I've got the combination of a convection oven and a steamer, if you've got someone looking at a full-size steamer, they really could also be a candidate for a Combi oven. If they're looking at a steamer, they've already got a water line, they've already got a drain. I need both of those things for a Combi oven because it's got water that comes to it and water that drains out of it. A Combi oven can steam and also gets hot enough to brown things. And so because of that browning and because of the ability to cook with dry heat as well as moist heat, I've got a lot more versatility in this piece of equipment. So if you've got someone who's looking specifically at a steamer but has space on their line for possibly a Combi oven, you might want to have them either do a little research, you could guide them through why the Vulcan ABC7 is so simple and easy to use, but that's just something to think about when you've got an opportunity in a kitchen. All right, so my timer's gone off. I'm gonna turn that to there. Open my door. It's always a great idea to vent the door a second, like to crack the door, and then open it slowly because there's a lot of steam inside of a Combi oven. Got my roasted potatoes. Have some color on those. You can see I've got great little browning through there. Now I'm going to take a look at the salmon, make sure we've got our grill marks like I want, and we do. So I'm going to pull this tray out. Now I'm going to show you the grill marks on the salmon. There you go. So, grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, and some roasted smashed potatoes. And I'm gonna go make a plate with these items now. This plate of food is sort of the sum of its parts. We're all made in the ABC7 Combi. At high temperatures, I was able to grill my salmon on a grill plate. Was also able to roast the vegetables, roast my mixed vegetables, and I was able to roast off and color the smashed potatoes that I made. Cleaning the Vulcan ABC7, it's a very, very simple process. I'm going to set my temperature. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes, close the door, and steam the Combi for 10 minutes. After that's done, I'm going to turn the Combi oven off and spray the interior with a mild oven cleaner. I'm going to let that oven cleaner work for a few minutes, and then I'm going to go back in and use the spray hose to spray down the chemical and out the drain. If I've got any spots that need a little extra attention, I can always go back with a little extra detergent. Just be sure to make sure you spray out the Combi again as the last step to make sure you get all of the detergent out so you have safe operation the next time. Our 10-minute timer has now expired. The oven is flashing to tell me that the timer is done. I'm going to open the door. I'm going to go ahead and turn the Combi oven off. So now I'm going to go in with a gentle oven cleaner. I'm going to spray this onto the spots where I can see soil. And because I've already steamed it, it's loosening up very quickly. Like as I spray it, the oven soil is coming up. So now that I've got the detergent sprayed in, I'm going to close the door. I'm going to give that about 10 minutes or so to work. And then I'm going to go back in with the spray hose and spray down the oven, make sure that I get all of that detergent out of the cabinet so that it's safe and ready to rock again. Okay, so now that the cleaner's had about 10 minutes to work, I'm going to come in with the spray hose and start spraying down the inside of the cabinet. Any place that I got the detergent. I don't want to scratch the interior. That's the important thing. So never any steel wool, never any scrubbies like that. If I'm going to use a scrubby, it needs to be a purple scrubby, one of the gentle ones. But just spot clean anything that got missed from that first round. Combi ovens are becoming more and more popular in every kitchen. They are still extremely popular in schools and institutions where, again, large quantities of food are needed quickly. Unlike a steamer, a Combi can get hotter so that it can brown. So because I've got the high temperature of the browning and the speed impact of the steam, they're great for large-scale production facilities.
Hi, I'm David Sager, Business Development Manager for Combis, and appreciate your time and hope you enjoyed cooking today with Chef Pete in the Vulcan kitchen. From school lunch rushes to fine dining, large volume operations, or independent restaurants, the Combi is an essential part of a kitchen because of its cooking speed, versatility, and ability to produce quality food using the combined power of temperature and humidity. Our controls work to always provide a Combi oven environment of heat and humidity by giving the operator the sweet spot of humidity by simply setting the temperature. The ABC story is about simplicity. You get the same cooking capability of other combis with faster cook times, better quality results, but with one unique difference in the controls. No training required. The ABC controls of temperature, time, and automatic humidity settings apply to all Vulcan combis. When choosing a combi, customers should consider their menu, volume needs, usability, and budget. Vulcan offers several models with different features and benefits to fit your customers' needs. Available in gas and electric, with options such as food probe, stackability, and accessories like the grilling grid that Chef Pete used today, and now with a new stand. Our current stand-ABC/SS and ABC-base models have been replaced with a new stand, the ABC-stand, which will have the same price as previous model but include the base as one piece. A significant savings and improved user experience for your customers. It also is important to consider water filtration when choosing a combi. We offer a good, better, best option for your customers' needs. If your customer's water is great and they already meet the spec sheet requirements, it's likely the carbon filter may be your only need. If hardness is the only issue, then add a water softener with that carbon filter. If unsure and you can't collect a water sample for a free water quality analysis, then we recommend the reverse osmosis system.